Hello. This is Antya from Byte Shuffle. Thank you for always watching my videos. This channel is also intended for those who are thinking about starting ANT. Our goal is to create videos for all archetypes, regardless of advantages or disadvantages. Since this is a favorable match for us, I've also included a bonus section summarizing how to use Surveil lands and the reasons for choosing them. Here is the deck list we will be using this time. It's a bit weak, but since it has card draw, lands, and combo pieces, I'll keep it. I'm going to look for mana acceleration. I'll stack Beseech the Mirror, Ad Nauseam, and Lion's Eye Diamond in that order, and then draw. I'll fetch a second copy of Cabal Ritual. I'm going all in. From here, I'll increase the mana needed for the combo. To avoid graveyard hate cards from the opponent, I'll execute the combo without relying on the graveyard. I'll accelerate my mana while also building up the storm count. With a sufficient storm count, I'll cast Tendrils of Agony. Before sideboarding, I'd like to review the list we used. First, the conclusion. I will explain it step by step. The cards related to ANT and Celestia Depths are these. First, there's the Crop Rotation and Bojuka Bog package, as well as graveyard hate cards like Endurance, Surgical Extraction, and Fairy Macabre. To ignore these cards, it's ideal to take the Ad Nauseam route after sideboarding. To maximize the effectiveness of Ad Nauseam, I'll side in Chrome Mox. I'll reduce the number of Cabal Rituals, as they are vulnerable to the opponent's graveyard hate cards. Next, there is the Green Sun Zenith and Hate Bear package, along with permanents like Deafening Silence and Vexing Bauble. To counter these, I'll use Abrupt Decay and Echoing Truth. In this match, I'll side out Vexing Bauble as it doesn't contribute much. Next is Veil of Summer, but it is positioned as a card specifically to deal with the opponent's Vexing Bauble. Since Vexing Bauble can also be handled by Abrupt Decay or Echoing Truth, the value of Veil of Summer decreases. Additionally, Abrupt Decay and Echoing Truth can address other cards from the opponent as well. Therefore, I'll side out Veil of Summer. Next, the opponent's deck sometimes includes a few copies of Veil of Summer. Therefore, I'll keep hand disruption cards in the deck. Next is Wishclaw Talisman, but among the tutors, it is the weakest card. Since we are keeping more hand disruption cards this time, Beseech the Mirror is likely to be effective in many cases. While it's possible to avoid issues by activating it immediately without passing priority, it can still become a target for cards like Force of Vigor. I'll side out Wishclaw Talisman. As a bonus, I'd like to discuss the reasons behind the color choices for Surveil lands. The Surveil lands that might be included in ANT are likely these. Before explaining the reasons for the color choices, I'd like to discuss the benefits of Surveil lands, which many of you might already be familiar with. Here are 3 benefits of Surveil lands. At the end of the opponent's turn, I'll cast Brainstorm. I'll activate a fetch land. By fetching a Surveil land, I can see 4 cards and draw without any waste. Next, I'll provide the second example. This happens when I don't have a shuffle effect like a fetch land in hand, but I've cast Ponder and there are 2 cards I want. For example, let's say Ponder reveals 2 Vexing Baubles and a Dark Ritual. If I cast the first Vexing Bauble and it isn't countered, the second one often becomes unnecessary. At that time, I can avoid drawing unnecessary cards by using a Surveil land in my hand to put it into the graveyard. Next, I'll provide the third example. Let's assume opponent casts Chalice of the Void from an ancient tomb on their first turn. Since 1 mana spells are countered, my draw sources won't function. By fetching a Surveil land from a fetch land, I can somewhat manipulate my draws. If I'm lucky, I can find an answer card like Boseiju, who endures, or Burning Wish. There is a chance I can destroy my opponent's Chalice of the Void. Even if I don't find an answer, I might still be able to search for non-1 mana acceleration and achieve victory that way. Next, I'll discuss the selection of colors for the Surveil lands. First, I'll provide the conclusion. Then, I will explain the reasoning step by step. The selection of colors may vary depending on your playstyle, so please consider this as just one perspective. Let's start with Underground Mortuary. Since I often start with an island and use draw sources to progress the game, I frequently fetch from basic island. As a result, the color of the land fetched from the fetch land is. There are times when I need a combination of green and black, making it unsuitable for a Surveil land that doesn't produce mana immediately. Next, let's discuss Raucous Theater and Thundering Falls. Red-related lands are useful when you suddenly want to cast Past in Flames from the top, especially when you don't have Lotus Petal in hand. I use them when fetching from a fetch land. Therefore, they are also unsuitable as Surveil lands that don't produce mana immediately. Next, let's talk about Undercity Sewers. For Surveil lands with the same colors, I think it's common to replace the corresponding dual lands in the deck list. This does not apply if you include both Undercity Sewers and Underground Sea in your deck. For example, let's say I have Misty Rainforest, Beseech the Mirror, Ponder, Lotus Petal, Dark Ritual, Lion's Eye Diamond, and Cabal Ritual in hand. In this situation, I'll likely need both blue and black mana immediately. As shown in this example, I've often encountered difficulties when my opening hand is strong, which led me to determine that Surveil lands of this color are unsuitable. After much trial and error, I have settled on Hedge Maze. Since it's a land-heavy hand, I'll mulligan. I'll put Tendrils of Agony on the bottom. I'll look for mana acceleration. I stacked Ponder, Lotus Petal, and Polluted Delta in that order and drew them, but I think I should have shuffled instead. I'll look for mana acceleration. I stacked Ponder, Echoing Truth, and Lion's Eye Diamond in that order and drew them. I'm going all in. From here, I'll increase the mana needed for the combo. As for when to stop ad nauseam, in the case of Infernal Tutor, if my storm count is high enough to reach 6 mana and I achieve Hellbent, I can win. In the case of Beseech the Mirror, if my storm count is high enough to reach 4 mana and I have at least one permanent, I can win. I'll use Hand Disruption to gain information. I took out Crop Rotation. I'll accelerate my mana while also building up my storm count. With enough storm count built up, I'll cast Tendrils of Agony. Thank you for watching up to this point. I apologize for the frequent play mistakes. I hope to improve at MTG together with everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to the channel and giving it a thumbs up. See you in the next one. This has been Antya.